Fala galera, today I'm going to talk about a little bit my Metafy. So I do coach on Metafy. I do that for a long time, even before Metafy exists. I've been doing coaching both in Portuguese and English. Metafy is more focused on the English players. So if you're interested in getting coach, go to Metafy, go Paulo PRRJ, which is me, and we can talk about anything related to the game. We can do tournament preparation, we can do deck building sessions, side deck patterns, and one thing that I like doing the most, which I feel it's really important, is gameplay review. I feel this is one of the most important things in Yu-Gi-Oh, and I'm really focusing on that usually. So hope you guys like it. Have a good video. Bye.
Fala galera, this is gonna be a new training log for the YCS's Buenos Aires and Houston. So this is gonna be released after Houston. Today is the 17th of February. The YCS Las Vegas was yesterday. We just top 8 the event. Me, Santoli, and Ramakini. So it was a solid result. We squeezed in top 16. We got 16th in rounds. I'm pretty happy with the deck. Also really happy about how the community, a lot of people receive the last training log. So thank you for that. I think I know it's a really niche content, but I'm really happy that a lot of people like it, because this is the type of thing that I like doing, like talking in depth about Yu-Gi-Oh. This is the thing that I'm passionate about. Moving forward, I'm going to continue doing not only this, but things like that, right? Really focus on competitive Yu-Gi-Oh. That's what I like doing. I know it's not the most, you can't reach that many players, right? But it's what I like doing. So hopefully we can reach as many as we can, since I work with this, right? I work with Yu-Gi-Oh. I do coaching, I do a bunch of things. So this is what I do. So thank you everyone for watching the last one, and hopefully this one too. So yeah, your YCS was yesterday, and I really want to start to test for the next one. I'm already excited for that. It's in 2 weeks. The YCS is in 2 weeks, the Buenos Aires, and then the week after is Houston. I played a 40 card version of the deck instead of 44 that we use in El Salvador. Instead of that, I don't know if that was right. I tried to play less cards to see my full allos and draw more often, since I recognized that those are the ways that you win games going second usually. So I wanted to increase that by cutting cards. There were cards that I wasn't liking. So I feel like if you take my El Salvador deck, I will put the list here. I will ask Humberto to put the list here. I will send you a print screen. So that's the list that I play at the YCS. It's 40 cards, as you can see. You have the one Perulia main. I'm going from my head, right? You have one Perulia. I have one Perulia. Not only is a Metal Tornado target against Mermail, but it's also for assault targets, usually against Mermail too. That was fine, but I probably won't do that again. Drew that going first more often than I wanted. Also had one Talents instead of 2, because I recognized that Talents was getting worse, and it was. And Talents was by far the worst card in my deck. It's not even close. And I find curious that a lot of the best performing lists play 3, like the champions, right? They did, like Jesse, Mike, and Dom. They all played 3 Talents. And I wonder what happened there, because I don't know. I ask them if they like it to perform for them. It probably did, because they won. But for me, my one talent was absolutely atrocious. Maybe because I played against too many PRRJYGOs. So that was weird. And then they don't have a lot of cards that make talents live when you go first. It's only Ash, usually. And when you go second, especially if the people are playing the Santoli version, and going second, many times they use their strikes in perms, books, before using a monster effect. So sometimes you can even use the talents, or when you can't, it's already too late. Yeah, I played this one Perulia, 1 talents, 2 Metal Tronos, and the deck is 40 card. Oh yeah, I feel like the biggest change in the main deck is that I only play 1 in perm, and that was a big decision that I probably gonna reverse it. The idea was Veiler wasn't working really going second, and so was in perm. Although in perm is better than Veiler in pretty much every single aspect, but the usability of in perm got worse. And I know in perm is a good push card as well. I wouldn't say good, it's a fair push card going second. It's much different, for example, if you Ultimate Slayer Detonator, or if you Metal Tornado Detonator in comparison to in perm, right? Especially people playing too many defensive cards. You do in perm, you try to play, you can't, the Detonator is still there in comparison to the other options. What it's good about imperm is that a versatile card, right? So you're paying with versatility, but you get a weaker card. So I did play one imperm. I feel like it was fine. I feel like the card is a little bit overrated right now at this moment in time, but maybe it's still necessary. I don't like, I guess, Malice. I feel like it's pretty bad against Malice in Perm. It just never works. I feel like that's it for the main deck. Then there's 40 cards. And then I feel like one of the main changes was the inclusion of Lars in the extra deck. And that one, I really liked it. That was a Hash idea. So shout out to Hash. It was the one that gave me the idea really close to the event, like on Wednesday or Thursday, something like that. And he mentioned the Lars. And I was like, that's interesting. And it felt interesting in theory. I didn't have time to test. So I used Fury alone to decide because I barely play with Lars. Pretty much what happens is that when you have 2 6s, they Nibiru, if they have it. Nibiru is also getting less popular, but when it works, it's much better. Especially in hands where you have only Finsmith, so those only Finsmith hands, it's better because now this Lars cannot be targeted by monster effects. So X is not a clean out to Lars. If they go X, they have nothing to Aggregator because they cannot be targeted by Aggregator. Even if you want, you can Lars the X. You can choose. That's a big selling point and also makes the Ice alone hands better because now you have Lars, Detonator, Cross, and the Lacrima set up in Grave. And that's much better into Slayer. Much better. Because when it was Caesar, and Slayer is really popular. When it was Caesar, they would Slayer the Detonator, Aggregator the Caesar, you lost the Cross, the Detonator, and the Caesar, right? In this scenario, since you have Lars instead of Caesar, if they slay the Detonator, you lose the Cross and the Detonator, but you don't lose the Lars because it cannot be targeted by Aggregator. If they not Metaltronos, what's the name? Slayer the Lars, they can aggregate or something, the Detonator or the Cross. Pretty much what happens is that you cross that and you have a 2 material pop Detonator, which is better than nothing that was before. So into Slayer is also much better. Also, one of the easiest way of losing games going second is Caesar, Detonator, Cross. You forced to use Caesar and then you get Talent Stake. Lars covers that, which also makes me more comfortable to do what I wanted to do, which was completely cutting talents, because now I more often than not have either Lars or Desiree available. Pretty much almost all combos in the deck now have one of them besides the only Rizio hand that is not ice, so pretty much Axe or Sword. And all the other hands, like Ice, Bonfire, and any Engraver Finsmith related hand, it's pretty good. So I really like that idea, and I'm probably going to continue with that. Another thing that I missed, so pretty much what happens is that I cited the imperms, as you can see in the list, but I felt the need to have some going first cards, that like specific going first cards. Pretty much what I did at the YCS was having the imperms in my side deck as a responsible person. So since I wasn't that sure about cutting perms, what I did was I made one side too. So in case I regretted for some reason, I could still have the imperms because it was a last minute decision. And it was fine. But my going first, I felt, was a little bit on the weaker side. Another point, I regretted playing 40 cards, even though it increased the likelihood of seeing the cards that I wanted the most, especially for Wallows and Draw. It also increased the likelihood of me drawing too many engine cards because I cut 4 cards from my deck, but they all were no-engine. So the ratio between, and that's a really important aspect in Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially right now, and in my opinion, my conclusion, at least today, it's that the ratio between engine and no-engine, that ratio is more important than is seeing specific cards. So having more balanced hands, that's more important than forcing too hard to see specific cards. So it doesn't matter if my hand, so pretty much my hands with the 40 card version got better every time I drew full Wallows, probably that I play one off, and draw. But they got much worse every time I don't. Because when I don't, since my ratio between engine and no engine, it's more skewed. Skewed? That's a word, right? It's skewed to the engine part. My hand tended to be something like 4 engine cards and 1 no engine. And that's not what I want. That's not what you want in the game right now. You want to have like 3 engine, 3 no engine, 4-2, but never 5-1. You almost always lose, at least in Rise of Finsmith. Maybe other decks can do that better. Pretty much my idea moving forward, and I will show, and this was something that you guys asked, to show every segment what my list for the next training session is going to be. I will show what I have in mind. This is going to be long, I think, but it's okay. I feel like you guys like the long video, right? Oh, yeah, one important thing. I would like to see your opinions, right? What you guys liked, what you dislike, your suggestions. I mean, I'm new to this. I mean, this entire thing is a new concept at all, right? Like, I never saw anyone doing something like this, including me. I'm learning doing this as I go. So I would like to know what type of things you guys want to see in this type of content. And then the suggestions that I like, I may include for the next one. Just like I'm saying right now, I'm going to add the cards so you guys can see the progress, visualize the progress. And that was a Simo idea, by the way. That's the first thing. What I disliked is also that it's some of my approach. So the way that I was approaching, and I feel like that's wrong, is that usually, since I am a more experienced player and I tend to test more, the tendency, okay, and I don't want to sound braggy or anything like that, but the tendency is that if games are played, the tendency is that I do well, because I need the games to be played. I need to have a chance to play the game, because then there are opportunities for me, who is a person who tests a lot, to do the right things, and there is opportunity for my opponent that maybe didn't test as much as me to do wrong things. So I need this opportunity to happen. And why I'm saying this, because when I was, my side pattern sometimes was keeping too many non-desirable cards for my Metatronus / cross-out targets. For example, in my top 8 match, at this YCS against Malice, I kept going first a draw 1 for cross-out and a Perulia for cross-out. I'm sure he played Perulia because he Perulias me game 2, but I drew the Perulia and the draw. And that wasn't the only time that this happened at this tournament, that I drew non-desirable cards because it was almost like a brick requirement for something else that was good. I do still believe that getting Perulia sucked. It's not good. And it would be cool for me to have an out and cross out. But I feel like it's not worth it, the risk of just hard drawing a bad card. I feel like you probably lose more games because you're going to draw the bad cards in comparison to the times that this situation will arrive. Where I have the card that I have the brick for, and I have the cross out, and I want to use it. So that's the first thing. So that's a change in approach. That's why the Perulia is going to leave the main deck, and I'm probably not going to do Perulia going first as a cross out target anymore. And probably, for example, not draw as a cross out target into Malice, which draw is bad by itself. You can do that, for example, against Raizo, because then draw is a real card, but it's not against Malice. The second thing is that I felt that I just want simple interaction. The games, especially Raizo Mirrors, which was 80% of my matches at those YCS. I put 80% of my matches at YCS was Raizo related decks. They tend to simplify, and simplify game states. They demand simple, fast cards. What I mean by fast? Fast cards are cards that you draw and you can use. Either summon, since it's a monster, or something that you can use immediately and is versatile. That's why my idea is to play more cards like in Perm, or more cards, and I want to do that. It's to add the third Metatronus back. I played 3 and El Salvador and 2 now, but I regret it and I'm going back to 3. And this is the process, right? The process of learning and getting better is this. Like, it's changing your mind, and that's the entire point of this, right? You guys following how I change my mind. Maybe the next session, I change my mind about this. I don't know. I'm saying what I'm thinking right now. The theory is this so far, and this is a theory. I didn't test this yet. So I want simple cards. And one card that does really well, that accomplishes really well exactly what I meant, is Book of Moon. Because Book of Moon is a really versatile card. It's a really simple card in simplified game state. It's going to do something. It's either going to interact with an interaction that your opponent have, for example, a detonator, or I don't know, something. Or I can use that defensively, right? To make my card resolve. And that's pretty cool too. That's what I'm gonna test. A deck that plays 45 cards and play 3 Book of Moon, 3 Imprint, 3 Metatronus, cross out, call by, no talents. And last thing, I will show the deck now. I'm gonna try Third Sword again. I saw the Big Grinders video, and after playing those 2 YCSs with 2 swords, I understand myself from the past when I take out one of the swords because I want to play less cards, and I also didn't want to see too much engine. But I feel like that it's less important than just seeing a Rizio card. A Rizio card, it's really important. Also, there is an increase in pure Rizio, and because of this increase, there is an increase in strikes. And Sword is the best strike out. I really like talking about indirect relationship of cards, and this is a really big one. Sword is the best counter to strike because you summon the ice, they strike, you summon Sword. That's the best one. I mean, besides X, obviously, but I already maxed on those. So this is another card that do that, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, I will show the deck now, and then we finish this part. I feel like I cover everything. I will show the deck. Maybe I remember something else. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I will show the differences, right? There's the third sword here, and then fits me to the same. I will show you everything at once so you guys can see everything at once. If you guys are going to take a picture or whatever. And this is what I'm going to try now. The Book of Moons and the 3 Metaltronos, including the 3 Imperms. Crossout call by without talents. I feel more comfortable at not having a talents for crossout because of Lars. And that's the only difference in the actual deck. I don't play Caesar anymore. I have this Lars, and I feel like that's a good change. So the idea is to have more flexible card. If you look at my no engine, which are those cards, they are all besides draw, right? Really simple, efficient interaction. Maybe the riskier cards here are Draw and Metaltronos, but I think it's fine. I played 80% Rise at the YCS. Metaltronos also has some usability against Malice. Draw, it's also fine because, again, I feel like Rise is getting more and more popular as we speak. I'm assuming there is not going to be a ban list. This is an important topic that I forgot to mention. You guys are going to see my test without the information if it's going to be a ban list or not. So I will start testing this, and I will show what is going to test. And then if there is a ban list, I don't know, today, then I will change. But I won't cut this part, okay? And that's the extra deck, and that's the side deck. Pretty much the Lightning Storm and Feather, pretty good. I added the third Meow back, Lancia, Perulia, all 3, and now I wanted going first card. I decided to be Solemn Judgment, at least for now, okay? I just wanted another card. I have too many settable cards, as you can see here. Most of them are going to stay both sides, so having something like Solemn, in case people start doing like this, is a really versatile card, and that's the idea, okay? The tendency is that decks fluctuate, like the version of Rise, tend to be closer to the list that perform well, including myself, including my version that I posted before, especially because the lists that topped are really similar to that. I don't know how much they got inspiration on that, or if it's just a coincidence, but the thing is really, really similar. I know Ruben, he made a profile when he mentioned my video. He gave me a shout out, and I'm really happy about that. Jesse's list, I don't know if you watched my video, but it's also really similar. I don't know if he came to the same conclusion or if he took an inspiration that doesn't matter what it was. The thing is, he won the YCS. He's a really influential player, and this is gonna be implications on how people build their decks moving forward. Okay, and that's it. Oh yeah, and the other thing is that the maybe people are gonna fluctuate more for the 7 Tachyon version of Rizzo, since it was the version that won the tournament with 2 players, right? Mike and Dom. People were playing more some Toolish type of decks with Slayers, Books, and Strikes. Maybe they go more hand trappy heavy, just like it happened at this last YCS. Okay, so that's the list. That's all. So see you guys in a few days. Bye bye. Fala galera. Today is the 23rd, which month? March. I'm gonna record another training log talking about my discoveries after my last testing session. I will be honest, I didn't test as much as I wanted. I probably gonna do more testing, but I did have my friends Juninho and Pedro, that we played the 3v3 together. It's not a 3v3, but we're still working together on the deck. But they did test. So they test the ideas that I suggested. The Book of Moons, I don't remember what else. The no talents thing. Sometimes they test with the talents, sometimes not. So I watched all the games that they play, the Juninho played. I came to some conclusion based on their testings. And sometimes, and this is one of the things that I want to show here, and that depends on your experience as a player. But at least for me, I feel like it's possible for me that I can take conclusion based on other people's playing sessions. I feel like that's possible. And that's what I did this time. I take conclusions of Juninho's gameplay. And the first thing is Book of Moon. And I feel like that was the bigger one. Didn't perform as well as I wanted, as I thought it would. It's not bad, okay? But I feel like you need more than a not bad card. That's how I feel. What are the reasons, you might ask? First, going second, it's not that great as a detonator out. It's fine, but you still need to deal with detonator, right? And that's a little bit annoying, like depending on the amount of no engine that your opponent have. It can be annoying, sometimes it's hard, right? You need to kill a detonator face down, it can't be by battle. You know, like there is not a lot of ways, like there's things each way, but if they have something for that, it's kind of annoying. So that's the first thing. Usually the best way to deal with detonator is by negating detonator and then attack with your bigger detonator into that. But when you flip face down, you lose that ability, and then it's almost dependent on your Fiendsmith to do that, either by sending with Engraver or sending with Desiree. Second thing, I think the amount of cards that Book of the Moon trades well going first are smaller than before. Why is that? The cards are Veiler and Imperm, right? I feel like a lot of people are cutting the Veilers. We did cut Veilers for the YCS El Salvador. A lot of people did the same thing, including the winners of the last YCS, and this has an influence moving forward, especially who they are, right? Like all known players, Jesse, Dom, and Mike. And that has an influence, like even further in that. So that makes this book as a call by the grave less common, right? Because it happens less often. Simple as that. Okay, sure. So the times that doesn't happen, you still have the book, which is fine, right? Which is fine. It's not that fine. That's a problem. This book, as a defensive card, going first into Rizio, it's not that good. I notice a lot of the time you kind of not force, but you kind of inclined to try to high roll this book. And for example, they have an axe, you try to book that and hope they don't have another Rizio so they can summon sword, for example. But that feels so bad. The alternative is to not do that, to let them go for a rank, and then you book the rank. Either the best case scenario, obviously, is what's the name? Do a drive, but it could be detonator too. But when it's detonator, they will kill a card in the process, right? So it's kind of annoying. Like, obviously, the Book of Moon, it's insane against Miles going first. It's probably one of the better cards, if not it's probably one of the best cards. I think the best way to interact with Miles going first is by flipping things face down, right? Because banish the trigger, destroying, they can get banished by a Bisho. The booking, it's by far the best one. The problem is that the Book of Moon, it's awful going second. This is a really interesting scenario, right? Where a card is really good going first into a matchup, but really bad going second into a matchup, which is what happened to all the book-like cards. Since the card, especially into Rizio, because again, Rizio is my main concern, right? That I'm focusing more on try to win games, especially game ones. Since that's my main concern, it's Rizio decks. I think it's not strong enough. And in order to have a card, a book is versatile, and I like that about a card, but I don't know if that's enough. I also noticed that the same thing that happened before, it's still happening, which is it's still really hard to win going second. Game one in the mirror, that's still happening. And I feel like the games are still too attached, and I really dislike that, of wows and draw. To win games going second, you're pretty much forced to have one of them. It's difficult to win in any other way in the mirror. If you have full engine, you probably lose. And if you have engine plus board breaks, you probably lose too game one, unless you start maining things like Slayer or like really specific cards like that. Maybe you have a chance, but it's still pretty hard, especially, and I feel like it's getting harder because the pure boards are now better than before, right? Pure boards before were weaker than they are right now because of the shark cards. If they happen to open too many engine cards, right? Yeah, so I feel like that still remains based on the games that I watch and the things that I thought about with my brain, right? A lot of the thing, since I already have a lot of experience, I believe I can figure out things by just thinking about them, right? I play hypothetical games in my mind and I always joke with my friends that I like do hypothetical. I had a lot of good ideas playing games in my head. Like I play entire matches in my head sometimes. I feel like you need something stronger. So I feel like I mentioned this more than once in this already. Maybe in the last training log that I did, and I feel like in the last one that I talked about, I did that as well. I'm gonna try Purula main again. Okay, so I'm gonna try Purula in the main again. And this is I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how many times I already tried this. I feel like if I can make this work, if I can make a way to justify playing 3 Purula main, it's such an insane edge. Because the going first win rate is already really good. But by playing the Purula main, I feel like you increase the win rate going first, going second, game one, going second, so much. Like you probably, I feel like you win most of the games that you drop Purula. Even the games that Purula doesn't resolve, sometimes it protects Wallow, sometimes you have a second Purula, sometimes you trade with an Ash. And all those trades are beneficial. Like there is, and then it doesn't open your 2 talents. This is the second thing that I was going to talk about. I really dislike this whole talents thing. I hate talents, you guys know that. Like I hate talents as a card, and I play 2 talents in El Salvador, 1 talents in Vegas, and I'm probably gonna play 0 this time. I hate talents. Like the way talents interact with the game really annoys me. Obviously, I noticed that Jesse team was playing 3 talents, and since he has a lot of influence in the community, a lot of people would do something similar to that. But at the same time that happened, their decks, and I feel like everyone else's decks, are getting better into talents because they are playing less cards that are good into talents, right? So maybe I feel like I got a little bit unlucky because I played against some totally strike like 6 times in a row, and then there's only 3 cards that you can talents into. But now I would say most deck has 6 to 9 talent cards that you can get hit by talents and get hit by the hand traps, and the talent is alive. It's usually draw and the ashes, so that's 6. If they play the draws, and there's not everyone that plays the draw. I'm talking here about Rizal decks, and then sometimes you have a Veiler, an Ogre, an Ebb. It's somewhere there, okay? It's not 12 anymore. It's not 15 anymore, right? Fualos is being used on the draw phase a lot, as they should. Since a long time ago, and then they are continuing to do, and I feel like this is going to intensify now. At the same time, the people, I think a lot of people are not going to realize this. They're going to just see, oh my god, talent is insane, and then they're going to play 3 talents, but without acknowledging that the decks are making talents worse as we speak. And and this is something that I believe, I feel like it's an edge to not play talents anymore, because the tendency is that it's getting worse. It's not that bad into Malice, because Malice has the Bishops, and then talents is pretty good into the Bishop, because they have the Bishops as cards that can get talents alongside the Ash, and usually those 9. So at least it's 9 on that, which is not that great, by the way. This talent is around like 60-70% of the time live going first, and I will say it's not guaranteed that you win games going first if you get talents. Another thing is that one of the talents targets because it's the card that makes talents alive, okay, is draw. And especially in draw, it's not guaranteed that if you talents for hand after getting draw, that you're gonna win. Just like it is when usually talents for hand when you get Ash or Veiler or Ogre, okay? And you continue playing and you see their hand and it's still combo. It's not the same. If you go Bonfire and get Ice or whatever, and then you get draw, and then you talents hand, depending on the situation, this is just a too mature detonator, and then you can't take everything from the hand. Like, you just look at the hand and say, oh my god, I'm gonna lose. That's what happens sometimes with draw, and I feel like the draw is an exception to that, because it's so good that it justifies. But the other hand traps, like Ash, Veiler, Imperm, Ogre, Nibiru, all those cards, not Imperm, but Ash, Veiler, Ogre, Nibiru, Bishops, all those cards just make talents live. And then, since they are not that good as defensive card, as a hand traps themselves, I feel like you can easily lose. So I'm still trying to not play talents. I will play either 0 or 1 talents in respect of everyone playing talents, because I feel like this is going to happen. I feel like people will play less card that makes talents live, but they will continue to play talents, which makes absolutely no sense unless you believe that everyone is still playing the hand traps that make talents live, which might be a little bit true for Vegas. I still disagree, but it worked out for them and for other teams too. But I still disagree. That's fine. People disagree on things. I feel like now, 2 weeks later, it's probably too late, and it's probably bad, actually bad. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. So I want more cards that protect me and make talents not live, and those are Purula, Pualos, and Draw. I will continue to try Imperm. Imperm is the worst card in my deck. I will continue to try the Imperm as a 3-off because of versatility, okay, and also because I notice that a lot of the players are not doing Leech, which is good for the way my deck is built. That's good. Also, again, a direct relationship of cards. Purula making Perm bad, especially into Malice, because you Purula, they normal summon, and then if you Perm a normal summon, a lot of the time, the way for them to continue is Bishu, so you draw 2 cards. That's good. Okay, so you put a green, your opponent's turn, I take that. Okay, same thing can happen in the mirror match. You Purula, they summon Ice with the intention to Fiend mid-combo you or whatever. If you can perm this Ice after Purula, it's weird for them. Unless they have specifically an engraver after that, it's pretty weird. Usually what happens if they already have a Tractor engraver, they would never start with this Ice, right? So you Purula and they have Ice engrave or Ice track, the tendency is that they start only with the Fiend's mid cards and then they go for Ice to Detonator if they want. It's often not the way around. So usually if they don't go Ice, it means they don't have it. So they wait for them to continue, special summon more for hand, which makes Purula's better, and that's it. Okay, and that's again really good relationship. So my idea is to still keep this in perm also because I need more, and I felt I missed that a little bit, more ways to push after Purula draw Fualos, especially now that there are 3 Purulas, this situation is going to happen more often. I really want this to work. To be honest, that would be the ideal scenario, okay? The ideal scenario to Purula main deck work. Yes, there's a cost. What is the cost? The cost is going first is worse, right? Now I have Purulas. How much worse? I don't know. I will figure it out. If I don't lose too much of the win rate going first because of this Purula going first, then it's good. Do I know the answer? No, not yet. So because of that, and now I will try to play a little less cards. So now the deck is in 43, okay? And I think it's extremely unlikely that I do 40 again. Something between 43 and 46 is going to be the number. The closer to 40, but not 40, it's ideal. Like, I feel this is interesting. It's probably better to not go 40 because you lose, like I explained last time, you lose too much no engine. But with 43, for example, in this list, we had 3 more no engine in comparison because the engine is exactly the same for my 40 deck card. But I had 3 more cards and all those 3 cards are no engine. The ratios got better. And then in the side axis, there is space because the Purulas left. I had 3 more spaces. What I did, I forgot one thing. I heavily considering also cutting the Veiler from the main deck. A lot of people are playing the 1 Veiler, and we were, and that's because of crossout. And I'm considering just cutting and adding that to the side deck instead. Veiler is extremely bad into talents. People are playing 3 talents. I want to avoid getting this talent hand as much as I can. For example, I will try as much as I can to not Ash when my opponent starts the game. I don't know how much that works. I probably force most of the time, but I feel like I will evaluate the power of my hand and maybe try to not get Ash so I don't get talents, because if people are playing 2-3 talents, it's really annoying. Like if they have 3 talents in 42 cards, it's like 40% or something that they have the talents and you instantly lose. So if I can hold, it's better. Or if I use it, I will try to heavily high roll. For example, they go Bonfire and I Ash. Okay, and that's what I will try to do. If they Bonfire, I Ash, maybe they need to talents to draw. Okay, that's the thing that I'm gonna try. You wanna participate again, Nico? Let me show Nico. You wanna participate? That's Dante. That's Nico. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I will try to do that Veiler to the side deck. Because now I need this Veiler as a crossout target less often because there is only 1 Veiler in other people deck. Malice doesn't play Veiler, and Rizzo are playing 1 Veiler. So there's not really a reason to do that if it's only 1 Veiler. The thing is, I definitely get worse into Blue Eyes. This is the matchup where I need this the most because they do play 3 Veilers. Not only they play 3 Veilers, but it's really searchable. So it's not only the amount of Veilers that they have, but the amount of time they also search the card. So they will have a Veiler a lot of the time, okay? It's more than, like, I don't know the exact number, but I don't know, man. It's probably more than 50% of the time they will have a Veiler. The times that I have Crossout, I won't have that as a target. Also, I lose that as a Metal Tronos target for that matchup and random matchups like White Forest as well. So yeah, maybe I'm willing to give up on that, okay? Veiler as a Yu-Gi-Oh card got much worse. Since I said Imperm is the worst card in my deck, Veiler is by far much worse. It's not even close, okay? So what I'm trying to do is to cut the cards that I feel that are bad, okay? For now, Imperm is the exception. Imperm is not safe, not gonna lie. I played 1 Imperm last time, and Imperm is not safe. I will continue to look at this Imperm, but it's definitely not safe. And then since I have the space, now I added the Veiler to the side And that's because in my pattern, I need 4 cards for going first because I had 3 Perulias, 3 Fualos. So I need to take 2 at least. Oh, again, I will try the 1 Perulia again as a cross-out target. I feel like Perulia is too good. So I think it's justifiable to have the cross-out target for Perulia, even if you risk the break, to be honest. It's too crazy. Like, if you get Perulia, it's really bad. Like, it's bad. Like, you lose a lot. Oh, yeah, you can play around. You can give them 1 drop. But then you need 3. You lost 3 interactions. Like, it's definitely worth for your opponent. Like, you can't let that resolve. Like, it's not good for you. So I will continue to do that thing. Because of that, I have 4 spaces in my side deck that I need to be generically good enough so I can take those 4 out always. It's going to be, for now, is the Solemn Judgments that in my Juninho's testing, it was good. I still on the fence on that one. It can be Judgment, it can be Strikes, it can be whatever. I don't know. But it's probably something that I can do that for. And then there's 2 spaces left. And then I will try Slayer again. Slayer is a card that I always wanted to have. The problem is that I felt it was a little bit narrow, only to Rizzo. But now the way the deck is built with the Perulias in the main, I don't have enough cards to side in because I only have Storms and Feather, which, by the way, it's getting a little bit worse because people are playing less Strikes and less Metal Tronos. I don't know how much that is going to change because, for example, the winning team didn't play any of those. I don't know how much this is going to matter. But for now, I'm going to keep it, okay? So it's 2 Storms and 1 Feather, and I needed something else. So I added the 2 Slayers, okay? And then there are 5 cards for the Mirror Match going second. Okay, so that's it. Let me show the deck. Okay, that's the deck. Let me show everything. This is 43 cards now, okay, that I'm going to try this week. And this is Sunday, and the tournament is next weekend. So the engine is pretty much the same. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. I cut 1 sword back. It's probably, you don't need that in less cards and there's less strikes, right? I noticed that too. So I will try 2 again, and then Fintum it's the same. And then no engine, there is it. That's it, right? The Metal Tronos, cross out call by with no talent still. The 3 Imperms that I carded is like the most. The Ash, they're here because it's generic, and also an auto to those. Draw, Full Hours, Improved. I really want to play those 9. I know it's risky, but maybe risky wins. We'll see. And then there is Dante and Nico, as you can see. And there's the side deck, Meows, the Storms and the Feather, the Lancia. And here, I feel like, what is the difference? Is the Solons, the Veiler, and the 2 Ultimate Slayer. I already did some side patterns, and it does work a lot. Those numbers, they do work. And having 43 cards is also something that I like. I like this, okay? I like this. I didn't like the book too much, so we'll see. And then the extra deck's the same, okay? That's unlikely to change. Oh yeah, one thing that I consider, it was to play Dugaris to make this a little bit better, because then you can have an outlet for them. But after, I didn't even try like in games, but just opening hands, pretty much every time you do Dugaris, you gave up on a Dweller. And I feel like Dweller, it's good even against pure Rizzo, because it's good into Slayer, it's good into Axed. It's good. I feel like it's fine, okay? And it matters. And then giving up on that is kind of annoying. And then if you want to do that, you pretty much, in my opinion, this type of deck, you need to give up on Chaos Angel, which is a card that I'm not doing a lot recently, but it's still fine to have. And also, it's a Metal Tronos target for itself. So it makes my life a little bit easier into Chaos Angel, right? So yeah, that's the list. We'll see. And I will try to record another one before the event, okay? See ya! Fala galera, I'm at the airport. Today is 27, so this Thursday. The tournament is in 2 days. I don't know, maybe this is the last one that I do, unless I change something. I might change, I don't know. And then I do one after the event. So I just rewatched what you guys just saw. So I remember what I said, so I can see what I changed in my mind. So the first thing, and I feel like the main thing, was I did test the Perulias, and I'm gonna play it. That's for sure. This is not a chance anymore. This is gonna happen. So I will play 3 Perulias, 3 Full Hours, and 3 Draw. It's definitely doable. I wonder why I didn't do this before, to be honest. It helps so much going second, going first. It's probably a little bit worse, but it's not enough to justify in a bad way the amount of benefit you get by playing that going second. Like, I think I realized well what were the main win conditions going second into Raizo decks, and those were Fualos drawing now Perulia, and you just need to have all of them. Like, it's so unlikely that you win games with any other type of card game one going second. Like, Ash usually don't matter, Imperm usually don't matter. The whole idea of like that we had in the beginning of Raizo, like the ogres, veilers, Nivirus, all that, this almost never works anymore, especially with the increase of Taos and Crossout and Cobile, which were not that common in the beginning, right? If you look at lists like from 2-3 months ago, you would see that most people would play like 2 talents, 1 talent. That's it. Now everyone is playing so many copies like of Crossout and Kowai and talent that is so hard to win games going second. So the fact that people are not playing Perulia, so their Crossout doesn't trade with the Perulia, it's crazy. Perulia sometimes protects Fualos. Usually Perulia, they look at the situation of the Ash, and then if Fualos, they lose. So it's almost a Koba degree for an Ash, which is definitely important. I mean, obviously I already knew that Perulia would be good in second, but I wasn't expecting to be fine with first as it was. And actually, to be honest, it's not that bad sometimes. Like, sometimes you don't draw Raizos and you have Perulia or Fualos, and you normal summon and they go for dual drive, right? When you have Fiendsmith. So definitely doing that. Another thing that I changed, I added the third sword back again, because I always said that sometimes I felt like I wanted support for my Perulia Fualos going first, which is, since I'm going to do a riskier play in Fiendsmith's normal summon level 4, go for dual drive, I wanted something to protect it. At first, I try books, I try talents, but those are not reliable enough to protect your play, or they are not good enough as a card. But one card that does help in that situation is Sword. Like, if you have Sword plus Perulia plus Dual Drive, it's not bad. It's definitely not bad. You can just make Dual Drive, say effect, they will negate if they have the chance, and then you summon Sword. It's definitely not bad. So Sword is an indirect out to that situation. I really like that because it's also a starter, it's also an extender. It made sense, especially because now the deck, as we speak, has 46 cards. So to maintain a good ratio between engine and no-engine, the added starter / extender helped. So this is another thing that I'm pretty confident I'm gonna do. Okay, playing 3 sword. What else? So now the deck is 44 cards, right? From the deck from before. Because what happened pretty much, I didn't cut any cards from the main deck. I just added cards to the deck. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the side deck. So I explain what happened to the last 2 cards that I added back to the main deck. I noticed, and I think I was thinking about it, but then I noticed also that people are playing less Santouli Raizo and more my version of Raizo or Jesse's version of Raizo, a Dawn, Raizo Shark, or Raizo Fiendsmith. Less Santouli-ish type of deck, which makes talents better and trust better, especially trust. I think trust extremely overperform, as you guys probably already watched the other vlog, another training log, where I really praised the trust. Talents got a little bit better. Like, talents is still weird as a card, but if the trust is better, not because of talents, trust is better because it's versatile, especially when second you have a lot of cards that you can search into. And now when seconds, it's way more live than before because people are playing less books, less strikes, right? Less Metaltronos. So those things are definitely helping this trust to be live going second, more live than before, right? It's usually live now because people are playing less Santouli type of decks. And also trust, it's one of the best cards to win second with alongside another board breaks into Malice, and I was missing that. Malice is such a difficult matchup, and to be honest, I think you need all the 8 you can get. One thing that I noticed about trust, second, especially into Raizo, is that there's a really common situation where as soon as they realize that you're playing Raizo Fiendsmith, and sometimes they don't need to realize because in my case they just know before the game even starts, they will hard force a Dweller. That's pretty good for trust because trust in that situation can get anything, always, besides talents. And you can get anything early in the turn. You don't need to play into anything. So, and I noticed that, for example, against Lucas Sacco, I don't know if he's watching this. I'm not really lucky on that one, but I use a hand trap, hit talents, I had a trust in hand, take away the trust, And then I drew trust again. I got really lucky on that one. He made a dweller. And that trust got me a feather. A feather destroyed 2 back row, and we grind for a long time, and I eventually won the game. But I would never won that game if it wasn't for that trust or feather or star. The thing is, obviously, this is a different situation. He talents on my hand, but I'm saying, even if he did that, I'm assuming he would correctly use make a dweller. And that makes trust so much better because you can get anything. And I was thinking about that. That's a really common situation, this early life trust. And because of that, I really like the ability to get something that I can use immediately. So the first thing that I did to add 3 trust, because I really want to see the card. Even though I know that drawing multiples is bad, I feel having the card at all is just better than the risk of drawing multiples. So I have 1 talents main. So in order to make that, I added the talents back to the main deck. Also, a lot of people are playing 3 talents, right? So as across all targets, not the end of the world. So I add 1 talents back to the main and put 3 talent trust in the side. But the interesting thing is, since I'm really committing to this trust, I will make my side deck really around the card. And this is probably going to happen to the event. The same situation that I described it, the Duella, the Tornado one. Sometimes you don't want to get a back row removal because in this situation, what are the options, right? If they Duella you, it can be tracked, obviously. So what is left? Talents, but you can use Bonfire, but sometimes you already have Engine, and Feather or Storm. It's usually those. But Feather or Storm, sometimes you don't want it. Sometimes they don't have back row, or sometimes you already have Storm or Feather. So what I did, I added a Slayer. 1 Slayer. So I added 1 Slayer because in that situation, sometimes I just want to trust. They have a Dweller, I got a Slayer, I out the Detonator, and I play as Rizzo. Rizzo cards, even under Dweller, but without a Detonator question, is really good into back row if there is a back row. But if there is no back row, it usually means that the defensive cards are usually Ash, Veilers, things like that. And Rizzo cards are really resilient to that. That's why I'm disliking Perm, disliking Veilers, right? So I think this idea really works. I already tested. I had more time to test this past 4 days, and I tested a lot, and I really like it. I think this was a really good change. The stress with 1 Slayer as an option because they tend to Dweller me, so this stress is live. So now I have Storm and Feather and Slayer and Bonfire to search. I really like this idea. And also now I still needed cards for going first. So what I did was to use those stress as a going first card. So I had 2 more spots in my side deck after all that, and now I added 1 DDG back, just like the YCS. I tested DDG, and I'm doing the 3 trust 1 DDG going first into all Rizzo versions, including PR. This is something that I wasn't doing before, but I think there is a benefit in that since there is more Slayers now, so you can draw phase DDG and you can get Slayer. That's pretty good. Also, you can get X. So if you have the Tornado and the DDG, it's kind of annoying for them because usually their outs, it's Slayer to this, and they can't X anymore. So they can only Ice or normal summon X. Those are the only plays they have. But if you have anything, including the Detonator, they can't get past the Detonator. So you definitely buy your turn back in a good way. The fact that it protects from Slayer, which was something that I wasn't thinking about before, I really like that. So I'm doing the DG, and the other card is a Sanctity for Malice. Malice is such a difficult matchup, and you can easily lose games going first, especially because they pull side, play full Wallows, full Ruler, and Shifter. And I really wanted to have something to punish those. And Sanctum is the card that does that, especially against the pure Malice version. So yeah, that's the side deck. I will show the deck briefly and I will show you guys. So the last thing that I did was to add the Veiler back to the main deck, and now the deck is 46. So I have the Veiler in the main deck, I have the Talons in the main deck, and the Sword in the main deck. That's the 3 cards that I got added to the deck. The side deck is now 3 Meows, 3 Lancia, 3 Trust, 2 Storms, 1 Feather. What is missing? 1 Slayer, and the 2 Traps, the Sanctum and the DDG. I will show the deck real quick. Just one last thing, and I feel like my main doubt for this is I still don't like Imperm very much. If I was to choose right now, I'm going to play the Imperm, but I still have this. I'm still playing the 3 Imperms, but it's such a nothing card that I either considering just playing 44 and play 1 Imperm and that's it, or I even consider playing even more cards in the deck, but I don't think I want to do that because I really like Slayer. I wanted to play more Slayers, but I'm not doing. I don't have space in my side deck, and I tried the best as I could to fit the few Slayers in the side deck, but nothing makes sense. So the idea would be getting something from my side deck and just add it to my main deck. But that's also not that great, right? When I'm going to add the Trust in the main deck, there's Layers to the main deck, it's pretty weird. So I'm probably going to play one Slayer, even though I do think Slayer, it's really well positioned right now, but maybe just with the Trust and the Slayer itself, maybe that's enough. But I have this feeling that I wanted to play 3 Slayers, but I don't know where. So my considerations are, do I play the other Slayer somewhere? If so, where? I can cut 2 perms and add a Trust as Slayer, 2 Slayers or 2 Trusts to the main deck. Those are the options. Or I just can cut 2 imperms and play 44. This is another option that I'm considering. Or I just don't do anything. Keep it like this. Oh yeah, one last thing about the deck. I'm doing Slayer into Malice, and I don't have a link target for Slayer. I just gonna Slayer and that's it. It's not bad. A lot of the time this Slayer trades completely with Crypter, which is the card that they summon when you hand trap them with one of the lingerings, Lancia or Fualos or Meows. It's not bad. It's a clean out because the card goes back to the extra deck. They can't chain anything to save it because the traps were set before. They can't use that for banish the monster that is on the field. So I'm doing this layer, and that's why, because like think, if I'm doing that into Malice and into Rizal, why am not playing more? But I just don't have space. And it feels weird to want to have a card in both matchups, but don't have the card. I don't know. It feels odd. That's my main doubt. Now, I really wanted to have 3 Slayers, but I don't know how in a way that makes sense. That's my main problem. I will think about it. I will be honest, I don't have an answer yet. Okay, so yeah, let me show the deck real quick, and that's it. Okay, so this is the deck. The extra deck's not here because the same didn't change. So the monsters are those. There's Resort now, and as you can see, there's the Talents as well as a one-off, and the hand traps. We have the Ashling Perms that I don't like very much, but it's still here, and the Veiler. Those are the 4 cards that I like the least. And then there is Fualos drawing Perulia. I feel like this is the edge for this event. And then the side deck is this: the Lancia, Meows, Storm and Feather, the 3 Trusts, the 1 Slayer, DDG, and this is a Sanctum that I don't have, that I will get there. Okay, so that's the list. Let's see how it goes. I will think about this whole Slayer thing. This is the thing that I'm thinking more. I even consider like just main deck 2 Slayers or 1 Trust or Slayer, or 2 Trusts, so I have 2 spaces where I can fit those cards and just play 2 Lazing Perms. But then I feel like my going first would be too weird, right? Because I already pushing with the Peruas, and I have the Fualos, and then I would have like 2 Trusts or 2 Slayers. I think Trust is the safer one because then the hand trap you can set in perm, and then it's similar as opening in perm going first. But I don't know. Also, the Slayer, the Trust is worse game 1, right? You don't have that many cards to search. You only have in perms and Talents and Bonfire and Tract. You don't have the Storm or the Slayer, for example, or the Feather. So it's not the same, okay? Also, it's different when your opponents play knowing you have a perm face down instead of a not. Even though they can assume you have a perm set, but they don't know for sure. So yeah, that's the deck. If I was to say now, I would play like this, but we'll see, okay? So see you guys later. Bye. Fala, galera. So today's the 3rd of April, and I'm already in Houston. So the last one that you guys saw was before Buenos Aires, and now I'm already in Houston. As you guys probably saw, I got 3rd at the YCS Buenos Aires, which was a really solid result. Once again, I really like the changes that I made to the deck. That definitely helped. I think out of the 3 YCSs that we covered so far in this training log, right? El Salvador, Las Vegas, and Buenos Aires. That's the one that I played the best. I think I played really well that event, so that was pretty cool. The game that I lost was once again to Mermel. I lost in finals to Mermel in El Salvador, and now in semifinals, I lost to Mermel again.
But both times I noticed that it had nothing to do with Mermail. One time I opened 5 spells going second. If it was any deck, I would have lost 2 in the finals, right? Of the YCS El Salvador. And the other one, I bricked. The other game, I bricked. And this time, I won the roll, which is pretty good, right? But I got Purula and Flawless with a 5-engine hand. So that definitely didn't help. And then game 2, I went first again. I got Purula, Ash. It was 2 Purulas, but I had a Fiendsmith play. So I decided, okay, I'm not going to summon any monster ever because he Purula. And then I got Ash on my Fiendsmith, so I can't do anything. So yeah, that if it was any deck that did this with any type of engine, I would have lost 2. So yeah, and then I won the 3rd place playoff against Malice. I really like the deck. One thing that I didn't say anything in the last segment because it was something that I thought about, and then I decided that flying to Buenos Aires, which was I changed Chaos Angel for SP. And that's not really common. No one's doing that, right? So I found funny because everyone says that Exciting was the flex spot in the extra deck, but actually it's not. I don't think Exciting's flex at all. It's extremely necessary, at least the way that I'm playing the deck. The cards that I changed was I played the Lars, once again. Insane card. Definitely a better decision than playing the DDD. I won multiple games because my opponent had a DDD instead of Lars. And the second thing, it's that SP has there is a really common interaction, which is my opponent has a detonator and I have an engraver that in theory outs the detonator, right? Usually the way you do it, historically speaking, you do engraver, interact into lure, into Requiem, and then you use engraver. Your opponent says, okay, you chain Requiem, you bring a Lacrima, don't trigger, you make Chaos Angel, you banish the detonator. This is a really clean way to out this detonator without having the opportunity for your opponent to do something. But usually what happens in reality, it's unlikely that your opponent doesn't have anything. And anything usually in this situation, it's either impermanent turns. In that case, this doesn't do anything, okay? If you play SP kind of beats the situation, right? Because if you think about it, first, they don't know, okay? That's the first thing. They do not expect this. So that's the first thing. So you do the entire thing like engraver, attract, lure, Requiem, some of the Requiem. And then you do engraver. At this point, your opponent is going to expect you to chain the Requiem, right? But you don't. You just summon the engraver and they say, wait, what? Why? Okay. And then you go SP. Now there are some options for your opponent. You go in SP and target the detonator, right? This is what I thought in my playing going to Buenos Aires. That's why I decided to change last minute. Then I did SP and you target the detonator. Let's say they have informed the most common outcome in this situation. If they want to detonate, they need to do right now, right? So they say detonator effect on SP. You, the SP owner, you say, okay. And then if they want, and then if they say okay as well, both are banished forever. One is destroyed, the other one is banished. And if they chain Perm, it also works for you because if they chain Perm, you chain SP. But if they chain detonator to your SP, it means the detonator will kill the SP before the imperm can negate SP. So the first effect of SP will resolve and vanish. What usually happens if they notice this is that they don't chain the imperm and they keep the imperm. But you guarantee take away the detonator, and that's what you want. It's much better for you to trade this engraver, okay, with an SP and don't have a monster on the board, which is also useful because of X, and you guarantee take away the detonator, and if they notice, they keep the imperm, and then you play your Riser into that imperm, which is much better than playing Riser into the detonator. Much better, okay? So, yeah. Pretty much having SP in the actual deck beats this situation, which is a really common situation. And you guys probably already noticed that a lot of my decisions in deck building are based on in-game play situation that happens often, right? And this is exactly what deck building is. People have this misconception in my mind where you deck building so okay, let me put it like this. Deck building is the good analysis of relationship in games, in gameplay, in technical play. You can only make a good deck building decision if you know what's happening in game, right? So realizing patterns of gameplay in situation that happens often, like I'm sure a lot of you guys through the situation, the Chaos Engine Perm Detonator situation, a million times, right? And that always bothered me. And like this sense of unsatisfaction with situations, this is when you came up with these ideas. Of course, this is not completely game breaking, right? But no one is doing it, right? And I can say after the event, because I did this kind of last time,
I didn't test this much. And it was much better than Chaos Angel. I used this multiple times. I was going to win a game against my friend Juninho because we played round 5 or 6, something. But he knew I had the SP because he's my friend. I told him he also played the SP. He also cut it, the Chaos Angel for SP. He knew, and then he played around it. But if it was any other player in the room that didn't know that I had an SP instead of a Chaos Angel, it would have worked and I would have won that game. I lost the game, but I would have lost with Chaos Angel as well, by the way. Just saying. But I used SP in other situations, and that's pretty cool. There are other situations that you want SP. I noticed that too. So yeah, I really like it. I did really well at the event, and now I don't know if I'm gonna change anything to this event. I only wondered if I want to play more Veilus somewhere, if I want to play more Slayer somewhere, but I will be honest, I feel like it's gonna be the deck that you guys just saw with the SP over the Chaos Angel and nothing else changed. Okay, just giving you guys how my Buenos Aires went. Okay, that's it. So see you guys soon. Bye. Hello. Today is Sunday of the YCS. I didn't do that well at that event at the YCS Houston. So this is the last one, the last segment of this training log that was Buenos Aires in Houston. It will be an interesting scenario to cover because this is going to be the first time that I talk about an event that I didn't top, right? Doing this. You guys can see how I analyze what happened. Maybe take some tips about how you analyze when things don't go wrong, don't go well, right? They go wrong. So about the event, I played the same deck. I didn't change anything. And the first thing, usually in the scenarios, right, where you don't do that well in an event is, okay, what happened? Should I change my deck? That's the first thing that I thought about. And I already thought about. And the answer is, I don't think so. And that's usually not what happens, okay? Usually, you do have things that you could have changed. Maybe I could have changed one thing here and there, but not. I really like my deck. The only consideration would be playing a different deck. That's a completely different situation. But up and Rise of Innsmouth, I don't think there was anything I could have done differently. I feel like if I was to choose to try a different deck, and I didn't have time, right, between one week or the other, I was already committed to this, I maybe could consider playing Pure. I have some problem with Pure, like we can cover this later, but and Rise of Innsmouth, I really like it. The list, I did really well. We did really well when we were playing as a team in the last 3 YCSs, beside this one, right? Out of 4 YCSs, 3 tops is not bad, especially going really deep, right? Second, top 8, and third place. And then this one I didn't top. So that's the first thing. I don't think I would have changed. The second thing is, did I play something wrong? Maybe I wasn't in my best. And it's funny, and I don't want to sound like a douchebag or something like that, right? But I don't think I played badly. I think I play like, I like to try to hate myself. So I have like a reference between this and other YCSs. I feel like the YCS that I played the best was Buenos Aires. But I feel like this is the YCS that I played second best. It was the second best YCS I played. And it wasn't too far from Buenos Aires, I think. I don't think I played badly. I feel like it was a series of unfortunate events. And sometimes this happens. And a lot of your development as a player is realizing when this happens. The problem is that a lot of the players, and this might be your case, sometimes they go too extreme on those scenarios, right? Sometimes they think that anything is their fault. It was just variance and there was nothing they could have done. And sometimes they do the opposite. They feel like everything was under their control and they could have done something different. They could have changed something, changed that, changed this and that. It's often none of those. It's somewhere in between. I feel that what you need to do is not focus on your result. I always say this. I know it sounds like coachy, right? I don't even know if this is a word, but like it sounds like a coach, but you focus on performance, not the result. Result is a consequence of good performance in a long period of time. That's how I perceive things, right? I don't like to see Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially since I play so often, right? Big events. It would be unfair for me to myself to expect that I'm going to top every single event. Topping every single event is impossible. No one ever did that, okay? In the history of the game. So for the last 10 YCS, I top 8. So like, this is already really, really insane. So I need to be proud of that, right? And obviously, there were things that I could have done better. For example, I feel like for this one, I didn't have a lot of time, so I will give myself some slack on that one, but I could have tested a little bit more of Pure Rizal after the release of the new spell, right? that was something that I could explore a little more. Again, I was doing really well with Rise of Intimate, so you need to try to balance that, right? Like the amount of time that you have to test, which is a factor that you need to take in consideration while you're making your decisions in order to play in an event. And not only that, but you need to take factor of the time, and you need to do a lot of theory to decide if it's worth it. And I was doing really well with Rise of Intimate, so I feel like for me, and you need to do this analysis for yourself, it wasn't worth it to completely change because time is a factor, and I didn't have that much to test a completely different deck. I am a truly believer most of the time, if you already have a solid deck, okay, the technical play is the best thing you can have in the game, like being a good player. Maybe if you play like a slightly worse deck, but if you're really good at it, and again, out of the better decks, okay, you can probably do well. And what I mean by do well is win, okay? I think I already look at the situation. So it's pretty much like this. To be really, what's the word for this in English? It's like, it's critical. I don't know if it's critical is an word in English, because in Portuguese is crítico. But in English is, I don't know if it's critical what I want. Okay, I will explain what I mean. You need to be really, you need to really analyze everything. Okay, without lefting anything behind. Okay, you need to think about everything. Okay, did I play well? My deck was good. Should I test more? Did I miss anything in this matchup? Like anything like that, right? Or everything like that. Or and at the same time, you can't be too critical. So if you get too harsh on yourself, you're probably gonna miss the things that you did right. I think for this event, the people that knows me for a long time know that I do this a lot. I think it was fine. Okay, sometimes when I don't top, feels bad. And of course, this felt bad, but it's not as bad as when I felt like I left a lot behind, either my gameplay or my deck building. They're usually combined, right? It felt like it was just variance. I could have played a little bit better here and there. For example, there was one scenario that I was playing against a mermaid. That was really funny. When I summoned the ice, I won't explain everything, but so see, that's the one misplay that I noticed. I summoned the ice. The way that he moved made it seem that he had a draw. I can't explain. I summoned the ice. It was like he was waiting for me to resolve my effect so he can do something. And I caught that like when I was summoning the ice and was like, this feels like a draw. And I said, nah, whatever. And then I searched and then I summoned the sword and got a monster. It was draw. So it was like, I can't believe I caught that. Like, I couldn't believe that I caught that. And I couldn't believe that I even didn't do anything about it, because what I should have done, if I was sure it was draw, I could have summoned the ice and summoned the X and get the node directly. So I got an extra rank 4. I maybe would have won that game if I do that. It would have been in time, would have been lane, right? But there was a chance for me to like to do some damage to the Dweller, and it was Mermaid, and I don't take damage back because of the Dweller. So what happens was that I could do only one rank 4, so I attack and then he took some damage, but then he played and then I took damage back and I die. But if there was a Dweller at the same time, maybe I don't take damage. I don't know. So see, this is the misplay I got. A lot of my games were just, I lost to 2 Malice and 1 Mario, and the games went the way you expect they went, okay? Like, you know, going first, flawless, blah, blah, blah. Going second, I looked my hand 5 engine, you know? It happened the way you expected it. There was one game, like, I had one play, which was a sword to trust, and I summoned sword, and you already know what happened. I summoned sword, got infirmed, and then I had a lane set, which got called by. It's like, those games where was pretty much known games, which they exist. They don't exist as often as people think, but they do exist, and sometimes we're all together in the same match, you lose. So yeah, so that was my event. I'm really happy of doing those. I'm really happy of you guys. A lot of you guys came to me, and I'm glad that you guys are enjoying this. If you guys have any opinions about this, I know they are too long. I don't know how long this is going to be. I think this is going to be longer than the last one. But you know, you hear as you work, and you know, you're probably working, you're probably not even looking at me, you're just hearing me, right? So yeah, if you have any suggestions, like if you can share this around. So this is not completely new take, but it's a different thing that I'm doing, that I don't see a lot of people doing, like this in depth, like the progression of like learning. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. I'm really glad this is working, and I'm definitely going to do this more. My future plans. I'm probably going to skip YCS Mexico. I'm tired. It was 4 international events in 6 weeks. that's a lot, and it's also expensive, obviously. So if you want to have sponsors, that would be cool. So I'm probably skipping Mexico. I feel like the timing it is bad because it's probably going to be post Benless but pre new set. So whatever I do for that event is going to be for that event only. So I feel like thinking long term, and this is the thing I do too, like I consider events long term. I had 3 events in May that is going to be new set and new Benless, which is Brazilian Nationals, YCS Quito, and WCQ Bogota, which is that I have the playoffs and the main event. 4 events in 1 month again, and they are all they are all in the same format. Mexico is not. So I feel like I'm going to use this time between now and until Brazilian Nationals to prepare for that format. I feel like this is going to be a better use of my time. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Hope you guys like it, and see you guys next time. Bye.